In the following video, you will learn how to find library resources for your oral history project. You're currently looking at the library's website, www.hgtc.edu/library. When you go to the library's website, scroll down and locate the LibGuides tab. When you click on that, you'll see a drop-down menu that asks you which guide do you need. When you open that up, you find an alphabetical listing of all of the library's LibGuides. You're going to want to select the Anthropology 101 guide for your professor that's labeled as the DNA assignment. So it's the second one down of the 5 Anthropology 101 LibGuides. Here is your course LibGuide. If you're not familiar with LibGuides, the way you navigate your way around is by using the tabs in the center of the page. The initial box that comes up is the Why DNA tab. This has information like the class assignment, class presentations, and class PowerPoints. We're going to jump ahead to the Books tab. And I bring this up because at the moment, you're unable to access the physical library. So any books that we had in print, you cannot currently access those items. Specifically, you may notice on here that there is a book called the Dictionary of American Family Names. This is a 3-volume set that we have in the library at the Conway campus that's very good for finding information about your surname, your last name. While you cannot access that item currently, there is a website that we're going to look at later on in the class that gives you a slightly condensed version of the information that's found in that book. So while that is a phenomenal resource and you can't access the print version, you do still have access to a good amount of what is in that book. I'm going to take your tabs in order today, and we're going to start on the eBooks tab. eBooks are electronic versions of books that were originally in print, only in this case you're accessing them digitally. There's a lot on your LibGuide, and there's a lot on this particular tab. Understand that while I'm going to highlight some things for you, I won't be showing every single thing that's on the guide. That does not mean that you can't play around with the guide and see what's on here, and if you see something that's of interest to you, by all means click on it and investigate, and see if it's something that you could use for this particular assignment. On this eBooks tab, you'll find boxes where you can go and search library ebook collections like the EBSCO ebook collection or Credo reference, and then you'll also find boxes that have sample ebooks in them. In some cases it may be a list of sample ebooks. In other instances it may be just a single ebook like this one over here on the right hand side. And that's one that we're going to go into right now. This is the Hutchinson Chronology of World History. I know that one of the things that you can do for this particular assignment is find what was going on in the world the year that you were born. This is a great resource for finding that information. Again, it's an ebook. So while the item was originally published in print, you're accessing it digitally. And I think the easiest thing to do with this particular resource is to go in this box right here where it says search within this title and type in the year that you were born. You're going to get a pretty extensive results list, but what you want to find is the item that has your birth year listed and then has what looks like the start of dates within that year. That's the one that you're going to want to go into. When you click on that, you'll notice that you'll find a listing of dates during that year. These are dates that historical events happened on in that particular year. You could click on as many or as few of these as you would like and find out what happened on that particular day. And it will list it for you right here. You may find a few right away that are of interest to you, or you may even want to click on several of them. You may even see your particular birth date or days very close to your birth date listed here, and you may want to find out what actually occurred at that particular time. One of the nice things that you'll note about Credo Reference, if you're not already familiar with it, is if you do find anything that's of interest to you, there is a link that you can click on for a citation, and it will show you how to cite that source in a variety of different styles, including MLA. The next tab that you're going to encounter on your LibGuide is the Databases tab. If you're not familiar with databases, these are library resources that provide you with information that was once published in things like journals, magazines, newspapers, books, and other types of scholarly sources. One of the ones that I want to highlight for you on this particular tab is the Culturegrams database. As you're conducting your research, you may find that your ancestors originate from a particular country. If you want to learn more about that country and the people of that country to see if you have a lot of the same characteristics as those people, the Culturegrams database is a great one to look in. What you'll want to do when you access the Culturegrams database is to enter the World Edition. And note that you can do this from off campus, but you will be prompted for your H number. From here, what you'll want to do is use the map, find the continent where your country is located, click on it, and then you'll select your country. You can also use the drop-down menu here and find an alphabetical listing of all of the countries in the world. So if you find that you have Greek heritage, you could click on Greece and get to the page where they have all the information about that particular country. So a few things that may be of interest to you. You'll notice that there's a column over here on the left-hand side. It has information about the country as well as the people of this, in this instance, Greece. It has background information about the country. This section is probably very interesting. This has information about the people. You could go in and see, do you have a lot of the same general attitudes as someone who lives in Greece? Do you have a similar personal appearance to those people? And again, you can click on these. It will take you to information about that particular item that you clicked on, and there will be the ability to find a citation in APA and MLA format. Also has information about customs and courtesies within that country. The lifestyle. Maybe you want to compare your current family in the US to what families in, again in this instance, Greece are like. Is your family life similar? Is the dating and marriage similar? Is your diet similar? Do you like a lot of the same recreational activities? And so on down the line. It also has information about the society itself. And then over here on the right-hand side, I'm going to click back one page. On the right-hand side, you can get additional information. You can view photo galleries, look at video galleries, see interviews with famous people from this particular country. Look at recipes. Maybe there's a family recipe that is traditional to your heritage, and you may find a similar one listed here. Play around with this database. There's nothing that you can click on that will lead you astray. And if you see something that's of interest to you, please do investigate. There are some other databases on this particular page. I'm not going to go into them right now, but again, if you see one that sounds good to you when you read the description, by all means investigate and see what you can find. The Multimedia tab has links to our streaming video services, Films on Demand and Canopy. Films on Demand could be an interesting one to you if you like learning about people who have researched or had other people research their family history. There are a lot of videos in Films on Demand especially the Finding Your Roots series. So if you are interested in looking at the different videos where famous people learn about their heritage, Films on Demand would be a great one to look in. And I highly recommend searching for Finding Your Roots in Films on Demand and watch the various videos that are available in there. And you'll probably see some people who you're very familiar with in those videos. The next tab that we're going to encounter is the Websites tab. And as that title would suggest to you, we're veering away from library resources and now looking at internet or web sources. So a couple things to point out to you on this particular page. There are some DNA websites. If you're interested down the road in having your DNA tested to find out your heritage, here are some websites that provide you with that service. And then for this particular assignment, I think you could be very helpful to look through the Surname History Websites box. These are all great links, but the one I'm going to highlight today is the Ancestry Name Origin link. If you remember earlier in the recording, I mentioned to you that there is a website that provides you with a slightly condensed version of the information that's found in the Dictionary of American Family Names. This is that website. It's actually released through the Ancestry.com website, which you've probably heard of. When you go to this particular link, you'll see it asks you to enter your last name to learn its meaning and origin. So simply type in your last name, click on the search button, and you can find the national heritage, as well as what that name may mean. And you'll notice that it does say that the source is that a Dictionary of American Family Names from Oxford University Press, which again is the same one that we have in the library. Now the entry in the library from the print book may be a little bit longer, but you're still getting a good amount of information that you could use here for this particular assignment. A couple other nice things that you'll find as you come down here, you do get a little bit of an historical record of your last name. You'll notice that I can see how many people had that particular last name from censuses, in this case, going from 1840 up until 1920. And it's telling me how many there were in particular areas in states of the country. And I can highlight my cursor over any of those states, and it will tell me how many people had that particular name. So in 1840, there were 755 total people with the last name that I searched for, and 30 of them lived in North Carolina, or that was 4% of the total population. And this is a wheel that you can scroll up, so if you want to look a little bit later on, you can do so and find additional information from a later point. It even tells you what your people with your last name did for a living at certain points in history. And you can see, you can look in both United States, England, and Canada, and it tells you what the highest percentages were of what they happened to do. And then there is a little bit more information as you go further on down the page. Some of this may be free, like the average lifespan. Others may lead you to pages where you're required to have an account with Ancestry.com. If you happen to already have one, that's great. You'll have access to a little bit more information. If not, I don't believe that you would have to pay for an account with Ancestry.com in order to gather enough information from this website to help you with the particular assignment. If you know that your family has a coat of arms or a family crest, here are some websites that you can search your last name for and see if one exists. Over here on the right-hand side, I wanted to point out the History Channel's website. You may remember at the beginning of this video, we looked on the eBooks tab, and we saw that ebook that provides you with what occurred on a certain date in a specific year. This website from the History Channel does something similar to that. You can go into the History Channel website and you can see it brings up whatever the current date was, and it will tell you the events that occurred on that particular day. But you can also go in and you can click on the date and change it to a different date to find out what occurred on the day that you were born. Closing out the rest of your LibGuide, there are also tabs for learning more information about citing an MLA style, watching videos to learn how to conduct research through our library, how to learn more about the other support services at the college, specifically the Tutoring Center, the Writing Center, and Tech Central. And last but not least, you've got the Get Help tab. This is where you can find the various methods for contacting the library for assistance. If you need help from the library, use one of the methods that you see listed on this page, and we'll be more than happy to help out and lead you in the right direction to find the information that you need for this assignment. Thanks for watching.